Good evening, everyone. It's been a crazy weekend as rolling up a lot of queries on how to get the jobs. Well, as everyone is facing a pinnacle steep in searching and appropriate jobs, tonight's session is giving some intriguing insights to IT professionals, fresh IT graduates, and how one can realize its own potential and see themselves at right jobs. Tonight, our guest of the show is going to provide an exemplary reasoning before you, so tighten your seatbelts and take a swift ride. Audience, get ready to post your queries during the show, and we would be keen and love to solve it post session.
Hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Shruti.
Okay, so I'm just giving you a little introduction for the session, and then we're good to go with the questions.
Sure.
Okay. So, HR talent acquisition is referred to be a dime a dozen, but the IT professionals still feel complicated to get themselves recruited at a right place. Good evening, everyone. I welcome Shivani as our guest speaker tonight, who has a successful career graph of about 10 plus years in the aligned industry. I'm privileged to call her tonight to know some interesting facts on recruitment, selection, and much more to go. Welcome, Shivani Ganjoo, on our show.
Hi, Shruti. Thank you for inviting me over. I hope I would be of some help and I could share some insights which would help upcoming IT professionals to build their career.
Well, definitely. We're also looking forward to. And moving on today's for the first question, we're all excited to know about the role of talent acquisition professionals when it comes to screening any IT professionals in the IT firm.
So, talent professionals are your first point of contact in any organizations, right? So, they are the custodian of the talent that comes into the organization who are brought in to meet business objectives. So, yeah, that's in just the role of a talent acquisition professional.
Okay, so you mean to say when it comes to a custodian to any organization, what are the process or you can say parameters apart from the scientific, specific, technical recruitment process? How do you measure for screening any IT professional's resume?
See, apart from the technical skills, what we look at is the overall fitment for the job, which includes their behavioral aspects, their problem-solving ability, their attitude and aptitude. So this is for the freshers when they come for screening. It could be on the resume, it could be on any sort of, screening process. For experienced folks, we also look at the tenure, like how long a person has been in an organization and how the person has grown in the organization. So that is also what we look at while screening any resume.
Okay, so when it comes to aptitude test for any upcoming professionals, what are the parameters do they want to learn or they want to revise to come forward and appear for the test?
See, it depends from role to role. So if you are looking for a software development role, then there are skills like coding, there's skills like problem solving ability, right? Basic computer science fundamentals. So those are the skills you need to brush up while writing for any aptitude or any screening test for any organization.
Okay. And what is the parameter in a sense of on the scale of 10 or 100? On an average, how much percentage the IT professional needs to obtain in that test?
So you can't give a definite range, right? It depends from test to test. It also depends from company to company what they have benchmark, as their cutoff. So each company would have a different cutoff. Each test or will have their definite cutoff. So there's no standard, but obviously it has to be more than half, right? Half, if you're looking at 1 to 10, it has to be more than that. But what exactly number would differ from a test to test and organization to organization.
Okay. And what importance do a talent acquisition specialist gives to, especially to the emotional intelligence now these days?
So that is also very important. Your EQ should also be good. uh, your That also plays a very important role, especially when you are evaluated on the behavioral aspect, right? So that is the uh, area which everybody focuses on in that area, especially when you come to nature or all across, right? Even your hiring manager, when they evaluate you, they would also be evaluating you on your EQ. So it is very important.
Okay. And during this process, what are the major gaps that you have underlined during your tenure? So it's not been like here in the Adobe, but you were also talent acquisition manager in other companies as well. So when it comes to IT professionals per se, and you have screened their interview rounds, what are the major gaps that you have underlined so far?
So majorly what I have seen throughout my career span is that the candidates are lacking the ability to deep dive and solve problems, like application of technology, you know, to in a real case world scenario is what I see is missing right now. So you would know the concepts, you will understand, you would know how this how a technology works, but to you know uh, uh, to convert the whole thing into a real world problem, a real case scenario, that some people find it difficult, and that is what I think it's the major gap.
So you're thinking that these upcoming professionals go on a wild goose chase? I mean, they're just putting their hands on and everything and landing up nowhere?
No, I don't mean to say that, but what I'm trying to say is like uh, there's one thing to know something and one thing to understand something. There's two different things. So you need to understand how do you apply a technology. See, if I know, for example, a particular language, say Python, I know how to. I know what are the syntaxes. I know how to write it. But if I'm not able to apply to a problem which I have currently to fix it, then it's of no use, right? It does not solve my purpose. So you also need to know how does this technology help me, and how does this the technology will change the problem I have. The application is more important than only understanding,
Okay, so you mean to say
what
the
I'm trying to say.
practical knowledge is something which is
Yes.
missing in a ground level. So it's like the colleges are more emphasizing on doing the courses, but when it comes to capstone projects or real like case studies,
Yes.
these upcoming professionals are not well up to do that. Well,
Yes. Yes.
it's quite interesting to know, and we are. I mean, we this channel, this the main purpose of this career show is actually giving an important information for it is best for the both worlds. I mean, for
Yeah.
the professionals who are giving a one time solution to upcoming professionals, and the upcoming professionals should also come to an ideal situation to understand what exactly they need to imbibe in them before going towards obtaining jobs. And for this, it's most important to understand what are the demand from IT professionals during the pandemic time, and how it is projected in the coming 5 years that these upcoming skills that are demanded from IT professionals will work and will gel up to to gain good understanding from the projects.
So on the upcoming skills, uh, so the world is moving towards cloud and SaaS technology, right? There's so many of cloud computing jobs, uh, and more companies are switching from server infrastructure to cloud solutions. So any skills related to cloud computing is a boom. So that is uh, uh, mm, one of the skills which is on high rise. Then you have artificial intelligence and machine learnings. These are also, these are also uh, hot, what do you say, hot buzzwords nowadays,
Okay.
right? So there are lots of other skills as well, like you have SREs, which is on the rise. Apart from these, vanilla skills will still continue to be there, like you have like Java and C++. They will still continue to be there, they will not go anywhere. But for these are few skills which are going to be more relevant in coming times. Some of the skills.
Okay. So you mean to say that understanding the complicated programs is equally important, and these vanilla skills will go hand in hand, like Python, AutoCAD, MATLAB.
Yes,
Yeah.
they will not go anywhere. So the whole uh, the whole product is based on this vanilla skills like Java. So most of the products, if you see, it's built on Java, it's written on Java, right? So they are not going to go anywhere.
So
They
these are
will
like a
still.
foundation skills, basically, you can
Yes,
say.
yes. So these are the foundation skills. So they are not going to go anywhere so soon.
Interesting. So, guys, always understand that always have that kind of foundation to be strong and firm, and then move forward for additional upcoming skills that can help you to boost your career. And why is it necessary and important for any upcoming professionals to apply for big IT firms? So, for example, I have seen any IT institute, whether it is a Ivy League or any of the institute placed in tier 2, tier 3 cities, they majorly focus to get their graduates placed in IT firms like Microsoft, Google, Adobe also, Infosys, through a direct campus selection. Is it really necessary for upcoming professionals to start and build their careers in these IT firms?
Well, personally speaking, I don't think it's necessary to apply only to this bigger organizations, right? At
Okay.
that point, at that years of experience, at that, not at that, and any level of experience, the focus should be the quality of work you do and the environment which enables to do that work. And it could be in any of the firms. It could be a startup, it could be a bigger firm. So the work should be the focus, right? So I really don't think it's important to apply only to big firms.
It's an ice-breaking session, honestly, because I come to know lot many upcoming professionals who come
Mm-hmm.
and take our career assistance from me, and the only discussion that we have for about 10 minutes or 15 minutes during a call
Mm-hmm.
rounds is, I really want to get into these companies. And it's difficult for me at times to make them understand that taking an experience becomes quintessential as compared to getting brand names tagged with you.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I mean, it's like it's a goose chase. I mean, people want to do something and they end up, giving a reasoning to something else. And that's why I wanted to understand how and what factors are to be recommended if applied through any job portals.
Hmm. So when you apply through any job portal, so what happens is the recruiter will spend some time on looking at your resumes, right? So what you need to do is you need to be specific on the skills which makes you fit for the jobs you have applied to, right? So I being a recruiter will be searching for relevancy of the job. If you have applied to, say, suppose a software engineer job, and if I don't see the skills enlisted in your resume which are relevant to the job you have applied, I would not be shortlisting you. So I think the main thing you have to be considerate is that you have to put the specific skills that makes you fit for the job you have applied. So that has to be there on your resume for a person to pick up your resume and shortlist your resume. So that's very important.
And is it important to present a keyword, or you can say a defining yourself in a one word under the headline which comes just next to the name of the candidate in the resume, which helps you to shortlist the resumes?
Well, not necessary. So when so when you write a resume, so you would be writing your designation and your current responsibilities, right? That is the section where you need to be very detailed oriented of the work you do and the technologies that you use, right? That is where recruiters will go through and understand what the work you have done. So that is where you have to be very specific.
Okay. Okay, and for that also you have to play safe to write and mention some technical skills which you are aware of, and instead of actually putting it for the name of or for the heck of putting a fancy names.
No, just don't put things which you are not aware of on the resume. So this that will go in a very different way, right?
Yeah.
So the skills which you have used, skills you which you know, do put it on the resume. That will help you getting your profile shortlisted. But things you don't know, things you are not aware of, please don't put it on your resume.
Well, I'm not leaving any stone unturned today because it is something which I'm getting the information from the horse's mouth. Because me, as a career professional mentor,
Mhm.
tries to give as much information to these upcoming professionals, but sometimes they think that, I'm going beyond my professional
Mhm.
experience, or you can say it is just a mug up sort of a theory that is available on Google expensively, and that is why I'm speaking to them. So tonight's show will definitely help across the professionals to also understand what are the major difference to work in startups and in a well established renowned IT firms. Again, I want to name those firms like Wipro, Infosys, Accenture, TCS, HCL. And what would you suggest these upcoming professionals to build their initial careers if they get into, any of these well established IT firms or startups?
See, both the type of organizations have different kind of exposures, right? So in startups, you have a more rounded exposure. You get to do things from scratch, while in bigger organizations, things are more streamlined and they are more process oriented, right?
Okay.
So both the companies have their own pros and cons. So it's up to the individual what to decide what excites him and what is relevant to him, right? Uh, so I would not put one. I would not pick one over the other because both of them have their own advantages and have their own exposure. So it's actually up to the individual what he wants to do, what kind of risk taking ability he has, what kind of how does he want to start his career. So it depends upon individual to individual, to be very honest.
Okay, and for this, you can also say that it's like making hay while the sun shines, because most of times, even the upcoming professionals, they tend to lose or grab an opportunity which comes on their, on their table,
Mm-hmm.
just because
Mm-hmm.
they're waiting to get a exciting offer from any renowned IT firms. And it's like, it becomes little hasty for them then to pick up un unconventional roles, or you can say they are forced to pick up then whatever is coming to them on their table just because they want to get jobs. So professionals, please be aware that whatever comes to your table which is helping you to build your career, it could be any startup or any sort of big IT firms, don't hesitate to pick up just because of the name or just because you want to add a
Absolutely.
brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So work is what should matter. The kind of work you are getting to do, the kind of exposure you are getting to do, should matter over any brand name or any other things, right? So
Absolutely. That's a good intake, and it's a good takeaway for this session. And lastly, I want to understand what is your recommendation to all upcoming professionals in building the concrete steps and also, at joining the blocks together.
yeah. So one thing what I've learned is that you should never give up. So there are times when not everyone will clear all the interviews, right?
Yeah.
But that should not be that should not stop you from trying for different roles. So each interview is an experience and each experience teaches you something new. So learn from this experience and incorporate into the next one. So that's one. And also you should know what you want and you should chase it. Plan your next steps accordingly. Plan plan your next move accordingly, and be always hungry to learn. So keep learning, and you will reach the way where you want to reach, right? So these are that's what I can tell.
Absolutely. And it's like on the ball. Like if you actually calculate all your failure in getting jobs and also not succeeding well in the interviews, you can start noting down what were the points that you missed and what were
Yes.
certain faults that you made, while giving in personal interview rounds, or probably you need to always tweak your resume, as I always suggest to any professionals for that matter, that you have, whenever you are applying for any job position, you need to tweak your resume as per the requirement of that job position. So it becomes really important for you to always undergo with that process of learning, tweaking the content, and again hitting the nail, right. So that's where, these talent acquisition specialists are also looking forward from you guys to come forward with your best skills and then try to network with them. The I also want to understand from you, how important is networking in today's time when it comes to LinkedIn per se?
It is very important. Networking with the right kind of people, the right kind of talent, uh, uh, talent what you have around. It's very important. It will also, first of all, it also helps you to understand what other people are doing in the market, in the area, right? It gives you a uh, idea of what's happening in the market. So
Okay.
that is a good thing. Also, it also helps you. It's LinkedIn is also a sort of portal, right, where you can get a job. You would know where the job openings is for your particular role is there, so you can go and apply. So it is very important. So networking in nowadays is, especially on the virtual world now, where you don't get to meet people. It's very important. Do it on the professional websites or anywhere. So it's yeah, it's
And
very important.
Shivani, sorry to add one more thing. Is it really quintessential now these days to network on one-to-one basis? And do you think these professionals will help them, the upcoming professionals foremost, if they share their resumes personally on their LinkedIn messages?
See, not everybody would appreciate getting mails from everybody, right, with their resumes.
Okay.
It depends upon what sort of network you have, what kind of network connection you have. If you're very close and if you know personally, then maybe yes, people would appreciate it. But if you are just connected on LinkedIn, uh, uh, people might not appreciate getting flooded with lots of resumes. So I would not recommend that. Yes, there's an option where you can ask somebody to refer you through LinkedIn, but directly sending a profile to somebody who is just your network connection is not what you know uh,
Suggesting.
I would suggest. Yeah, I would not suggest that.
So you mean to say that LinkedIn is the best thing since sliced bread, but it needs to be cautiously used.
LinkedIn is a networking platform for for professionals. Yes, but then you have to be careful of how you use it.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And tonight's session was all about IT professionals who wants to build their careers in the allied industries. We have spoken about certain upcoming skills. Along with that, you have to always focus on the foundation skills. And as Shivani has informed us, actually, I should say, that using LinkedIn becomes quite evident, but at the same time, you have to use cautiously. It becomes an easy way, a mode of success to unveil the best opportunities to the ground. I would really sincerely thank you, Shivani, for taking the time out for us. And it was quite learning that we have obtained from you in tonight's session. We would love to,
Thank you.
we would really love to call you back on our session next time and would like to learn more out from you.
Thank you for having me over, and I hope it was an informative session.
Definitely, it is. It is. And it is going to be sooner. We will be flooding with a lot of questions actually from the
Sure.
upcoming professionals now.
Happy to help. If you want any help on answering those, I'll be happy to do so.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Shruti. Thank you. Bye bye.